Live from Utah's first TV station, ABC4 News celebrates 75 years.
Good evening, I'm Emily Flores.
And I'm Glenn Mills. Thanks so much for joining us. Following our flood watch tonight, a spring runoff causing places like Sugar House Park in Salt Lake City to look more like this. Ooh. A lake rather than a park. Water covering parts of the road even in the area there.
Yeah, you see just how high the water levels are there. But Salt Lake City says this is by design. They built the park as a drainage pond to hold all of the flood water. So hopefully this overflow will help mitigate flooding in other parts of the city. Okay, ABC4 News is bringing you team coverage of the latest flooding conditions. Our Northern Utah correspondent Kate Garner is out in Garden City, where the mayor has issued a state of emergency there.
But first, Chief Meteorologist Alana Brophy is live along the banks of the Weber River tonight. Alana.
Glenn, Emily, the lower Weber River put under a flood warning this afternoon, and you can see why. Check out this bridge. The water basically up to the bridge, running at 25 feet. This is action stage, and flood stage is right around the corner for the lower Weber. And we've got these flooding concerns because of the weather pattern. Now, as you look over my shoulder towards the mountains, you see there's a lot of snow still up there that's going to continue to come down. So we've got a prolonged period. We have to be really careful around these waterways. Let's start with our flood alerts, because there are many of them in effect today throughout northern Utah. And as we look at the graphics, you see a flood watch in dark green. And what's blinking here, those are the flood warnings. We've got advisories, watches, and warnings, not just for the lower Weber. We're also seeing this for the Ogden River, Immigration Creek, the Sevier River, Little Bear River up there in Cache Valley towards the town of Paradise. And so we know that we've got a lot of waterways running very high and very fast. Now in the central portion of the state, Thistle under a flood advisory. We've got the Sevier River, and then over on the eastern side of the state, the Dolores River right there on the state line. So a lot of areas dealing with high, fast, cold water. And we've got additional waterways that we're keeping an eye on. These are areas that are seeing a significant rise. They don't have any warnings or advisories in place, but we're keeping a close eye on this. And this includes near Jeremy Ranch, backside of the Wasatch, Big Cottonwood Creek, Spanish Fork Canyon, Bear River itself. So that's something that we're monitoring very closely. So we had record snowpack, and now we have record warmth, and it's all due to this high pressure. Satellite radar shows that dome of high pressure in place, and that's brought in the heat. And as we look at the temperatures, you're able to see Salt Lake hit 87 today, and that ties the old record back in 2007. We've got 80s along the Wasatch Front, Cache Valley in the low 80s, breaking the record. So they've gone above it and beyond. You can see St. George is keeping pace with us temperature-wise. That's when you know something's off. Now, the temperature trend shows that we ease when it comes to the warmth over the next several days. I'm going to explain why and whether or not the threat holds on. Coming up in my full forecast in just a few moments. Again, the bank of the lower Weber here, very, very high. Homes just behind me on edge tonight and will be for the work week. Emily, Glenn, back to you.
Alana, thank you. The town of Garden City now under a state of emergency as a result of flooding.
Yes, ABC4's Northern Utah correspondent Kate Garner is reporting from Garden City this afternoon with the latest details. Kate?
So right behind me and below me, you may be able to see what looks like a bit of a stream or even a ditch. It's right next to that dirt road. Now that ditch was actually put into place by the town last night thanks to that state of emergency. Now the mayor tells me while they are doing what they can to help with flooding, they need homeowners, especially those who don't live here full time, to be proactive in protecting their property. Water rushes into a storm drain and from there into Bear Lake.
Had that pipe broke, we would have sent dirt, mud, basically a mudslide down into these homes.
Mayor Mike Lenhart says the town is opening sections of a canal up on the bench that runs the length of the town to prevent additional flooding.
When you have everybody living here, it's easier to communicate with people and let them know, hey, we got some issues. Let's be proactive.
The mayor says 60 days ago he started a campaign to try to get those who have second homes to come out and secure their property.
We knew this was coming.
He says 75 to 80% of residences in town are vacation homes or short-term rentals. And with less than 1,000 full-time residents, the town has to focus on protecting infrastructure first.
This is a winter that we've never seen before.
Ken Hansen has lived in Garden City his whole life.
There's a tremendous amount of snow still left in the mountains.
He says everyone is a little worried.
We really don't know what to expect because we've never seen this much snow. And this kind of snow with as much water content as we're seeing.
The mayor says they're keeping up with flooding right now, but
today is 5 degrees warmer than yesterday, that 5 degrees is going to push more water down the mountain.
He asks those with second homes to visit their property this week and get it prepared for flooding.
Please come up and check on it and help us be proactive to save life, property damage.
He says the town has 14,000 sandbags ready to be used, and also asks that homeowners visit the town website to sign up for Code Red alerts. Reporting from Garden City, Cade Garner, ABC4 News.
As that spring warm-up sends more snow flooding down into the valley, we're going to continue to monitor the flood danger right here on ABC4. So stick with us for the very latest conditions so you can be ready when the rivers rise. We turn now to tragic news from the weekend when a little boy drowned near the Provo River.
Yes, this happened at a ropes course area in Provo. ABC4's Elena Castro joining us live from Provo with the latest information tonight. Elena.
A young family came out over the weekend to enjoy the warmer weather when the unthinkable happened. It was here near the class ropes course by the Provo River that a 20-month-old toddler wandered away from his family. They later found him in an inlet of standing water, having drowned. CPR was initiated and medics were called, but unfortunately the boy died later in the hospital. Safety officials urge everyone going out to enjoy the weather to ensure and take those safety precautions to make sure you and your loved ones stay safe. Reporting live in Provo, Elena Castro, ABC4 News.
All right, Elena, thank you. Your heart goes out to the family. Well, the state of Utah is facing a new lawsuit alleging the state has been irresponsible managing violent offenders. ABC4's Annika Johns joining us live in studio with the latest on this. Annika.
Yeah, that's right, Emily. The complaint contains the details of 6 cases where violent offenders were released from jail early on parole. The complaint claims they weren't properly monitored by officials and that many of them shouldn't have even been released in the first place.
All of this was avoidable. It's avoidable.
A lawyer in Utah filed an official complaint against the state.
We're here because of willful government misconduct, where innocent citizens of the state of Utah were murdered, beat up, and otherwise abused.
The law firm says the state, along with various parole and corrections departments, failed the citizens of Utah by letting offenders out of jail early on parole without monitoring them properly.
The government, the corrections department and its agencies and divisions allowed violent people to be paroled that should never have been paroled.
As a result of these early paroles, the complaint says that these offenders were given the opportunity to do whatever they'd like, including harm others.
And there were several murders as a result of this. Many injuries, a fire, brutal beatings took place.
There are 6 people suing with the expectation that more will reach out now that the complaint is filed. One person is Bethany Smuckler and her husband Clarence Newman, whose home was broken into by Ammon Jacob Woodhead in 2022 before he assaulted the couple and set fire to their home. The lawyers say he was released from prison early by UBPP with the knowledge that he would not be properly supervised by AP&P.
I just hope that the state will make it so that this will never happen to anybody ever again. There's somebody that was on parole was able to come out, enjoy his freedom, and try and do this to someone else, because it's a day that I'll never forget.
The complaint has over 300 paragraphs. It's 47 pages long, each detailing the events these plaintiffs went through. Sykes says he hopes to reform the system with this case and that he does expect more people to come forward with their own similar instances. Back to you at the desk.
Much more to come on that story. Thanks so much, Annika. The bodies of 7 people found today in Oklahoma during a search for 2 missing teenagers. Now, information is limited, but the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation saying the bodies were discovered while searching rural property near the town of Henrietta. Medical examiners are working to identify who these people are. Missing persons advisory issued for 2 teenagers earlier today. They were reportedly seen traveling with a convicted sex offender. Oklahoma canceling the Amber Alert this afternoon.
And new developments in the Gwyneth Paltrow Park City ski crash case. Terry Anderson will not pay for her attorney fees. Anderson accused her of crashing into him on the slopes of Deer Valley in 2016. Paltrow countersued Sanderson and won for a symbolic $1 as well as legal fees. But now those fees are off the table. Now, the judge said in a ruling published Saturday that both lawyers agreed to drop the matter of Paltrow's attorney fees. They did not exactly say why. The case wrapped up last month and was the most closely watched celebrity trial since Johnny Depp and Amber Heard faced off last year.
Today, Utah launching a new statewide incentive program to reduce the amount of water we use on our lawns. Utahns who replace their grass with landscape that can resist our drought will get paid to do so. The state approving $10 million for the program this year, so you'll get $3 for every square foot of land you swap out. Governor Cox hoping this encourages everyone to make the change. He says even though we've had a wet winter, it's still important to conserve water.
And that's the type of thinking we need to change to, so that we are always conserving, especially in the best years, because that helps us get water into new places. So we've been given a gift this year. Let's not squander it. Let's continue to conserve.
Governor says it's our duty to conserve water to make sure Utah is a place our children and grandchildren can live. If you want to make the change and take part in the new incentive program, visit utahwatersavers.com. We have that address for you right at the bottom of the screen.
And the Division of Wildlife Management is pushing back the opening dates again for 4 areas in northern Utah due to extreme conditions wildlife have faced this winter. ABC4's Nate Larson is live at one of the areas to tell us more. Nate.
Yeah, Emily, I'm here in the Ogden Valley. This is the entrance to the, what is this one? Middle Fork Wildlife Management Area. For some reason, Mill Creek keeps popping into my mind. And these wildlife areas typically open around April 8th. That's the target opening date each year. It was pushed back around the first part of April to the 30th, and they just pushed it back again to mid-May because of the brutal winter that the wildlife has been facing this year. They're staying in lower elevations for a longer period of time. So winter, of course, is the hardest time of the year for big game animals. Deep snow and lack of food sources have driven them down in these lower elevations, and the record snow has kept wildlife in these elevations for longer than anticipated. 3 other areas remain closed through mid-May, and they're going to continue to limit the impacts on wildlife. Swan Creek and the Woodruff Co-op in Rich County and the Camas Wildlife Management Area in Summit County are also closed. These extended closures will hopefully give our local deer population a chance to recover.
This is still a really hard time for deer because they've just came through a really hard winter, and so it takes a little while for them to find some green feed and to get their energy levels back, to start to put fat back on and sort of recover from the winter.
Yeah, so Mark says the best thing that we can do right now if we do encounter wildlife, even outside of these wildlife management areas, is to give them plenty of space. The last thing we want to do is to deplete more of their energy resources by spooking them or chasing them away with maybe our dogs that aren't on leashes. So be sure to leash your dogs as well. Live at the Middle Fork Wildlife Management Area, I'm Nate Larson. Back to you.
Still ahead, the summer weather drawing people out to see the blossoms at the Capitol building. How soon you should plan a trip if you want to see them this year. We'll be right back.